Hey, it's Helen Smith here. Welcome to The Beefing. Today's beef is on Pauline Hanson versus Mehreen Faruqi. Let's get into it.
From the briefing team,
This is The Beefing.
Mehreen Faruqi and Pauline Hanson are two Australian senators whose politics sit at complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Faruqi is a senator for the Greens, which is known as a left-wing political party that's centred on climate and social justice and peace. Whereas Hanson is the leader and founder of One Nation, a conservative, right-wing populist political party. And these two senators have feuded so intensely that their dispute ultimately made its way into the courtroom. But before we get into that, let's get to know Hanson and Faruqi a little bit more. Starting with Hanson, she was first elected the member for Oxley in Queensland back in 1996 and launched One Nation the following year in April 1997. Now, over the last 28 years, her party has slowly been gaining traction. At the 2025 federal election in May, One Nation recorded a primary vote of 6.4%, which is about half of that of the Greens at 12.2%. And she's one of Australia's most controversial politicians in Parliament, with critics saying that she has benefited from and helped shape the normalisation of racism and xenophobia in Australia, and that she's had a huge impact on the way Australians talk about issues like multiculturalism and immigration. Here are just some examples. In her maiden speech in 1996, she warned that Australia was in danger of being swamped by Asians and called for the abolition of multiculturalism.
I and most Australians want our immigration policy radically reviewed and that of multiculturalism abolished.
Yeah. I
believe we are in danger of being swamped by Asians. Between 1984 and 1995, 40% of all migrants into this country were of Asian origin. They have their own culture and religion, form ghettos and do not assimilate.
And in 2017, she wore a burqa to the Senate question time.
Oh, what on earth? Senator Hanson.
I'm quite happy to remove this because this is not what should belong in this Parliament. What I would like to ask on behalf of the Australian people, considering there has been a large majority of Australians wish to see the banning of the burqa.
And she was slammed by Attorney General George Brandis, who got a standing ovation in Parliament after saying this.
Senator Hanson, no, we will not be banning the burqa. Now, Senator Hanson, I am not going to pretend to ignore the stunt that you have tried to pull today by arriving in the chamber dressed in a burqa when we all know that you are not an adherent of the Islamic faith. And I would caution you and counsel you, Senator Hanson, with respect, to be very, very careful of the offence you may do to the religious sensibilities of other Australians.
And she's recently clashed over Senator Fatima Payman's eligibility to sit in the chamber because of her dual citizenship status, as Section 44 of the Constitution prohibits foreign citizens and dual citizens from sitting in Parliament.
So what is happening now is I see it is as a protection racket by the Greens to protect Senator Payman. It shouldn't be a mate's call here, looking after your mates. This is what is relevant in this Parliament. That's why it was actually structured under the Constitution, Section 44 there. So they are obstructing justice, that this should be referred to a committee to be investigated if she is eligible to stand this place.
I am very honoured that I live rent-free in Senator Hanson's mind, but I think you've got better things to do than worry about Section 44 here when there's nothing to see. All that Senator Hanson does in this place is spread hatred, spread division, because that's what you're made to do here. And it's outrageous.
And she recently skipped Parliament to speak at a Conservative conference at Trump's Mar-a-Lago, with her speech covering everything from claims against mass migration, climate change, Indigenous rights and gender expression.
I actually was imprisoned for my political views, wrongfully imprisoned with a 3-year jail term. They were after Donald Trump as well, but they never got him in prison.
Now, to Dr. Mehreen Faruqi. She's a Greens senator for New South Wales, and prior to entering politics, she was a civil and environmental engineer, and she's proudly feminist AF. And in 2013, when she joined the New South Wales Parliament, she became the first Muslim woman to sit in an Australian parliament. And then, in 2018, Faruqi became Australia's first Muslim senator, saying this in her maiden speech.
The reality is that my presence in the Senate is an affront to some. They are offended that people of colour and Muslims have the audacity to not only exist, but to open our mouths and join the public debate. Some politicians call us cockroaches. Some say we are a disease which Australia needs vaccination for. So it is with great pride I stand here before you, unapologetically, a brown, Muslim, migrant, feminist woman, and a Greens senator.
During her political career, Faruqi introduced the first bill to decriminalise abortion in New South Wales and won the closure of pregnancy discrimination loopholes. And her work for reproductive rights saw her winning a leading feminist award for inciting others to challenge the status quo. And this year, she also faced a disciplinary motion in Senate after condemning the genocide in Gaza, holding a sign that read, "Gaza is starving, words won't feed them, sanction Israel," during the Governor-General's address on the first day of the 48th Parliament. Now, to the beef between Hanson and Faruqi. On the 9th of September 2022, following the death of Queen Elizabeth II, Faruqi posted to X, formerly Twitter, with the following. "Condolences to those who mourn the Queen. I cannot mourn the leader of a racist empire built on stolen lives, land and wealth of colonised people. We are reminded of the urgency of treaty with First Nations, justice and reparations for British colonies and becoming a republic." And in response to the post, Pauline Hanson posted this. "Your attitude appalls and disgusts me. When you immigrated to Australia, you took every advantage of this country. You took citizenship, bought multiple homes and a job in Parliament. It's clear you're not happy, so pack your bags and piss off back to Pakistan." That last line was at the centre of the case. Faruqi made a complaint to the Australian Human Rights Commission regarding Hanson's tweet. And because Hanson declined to participate in the Commission's conciliation process, the complaint was terminated on this basis, which allowed Faruqi to file her complaint to the federal court. Now, to give you a brief understanding of the Racial Discrimination Act, which I'll refer to as RDA, in relation to this case under Section 18C of the RDA, it makes it unlawful to publicly engage in conduct that is likely to offend, insult, humiliate or intimidate based on race, colour or national or ethnic origin. And Faruqi argued that Hanson's tweet contravened this provision by targeting her as a migrant, person of colour and Muslim. But Hanson denied that there was any racial intent. Instead, Hanson told the court that she was being rhetorical and had only learnt Faruqi was a Muslim recently, well after she wrote that tweet, and also submitted that she would have made the same comments regardless of Faruqi's origin. Hanson also gave evidence saying that she had not noticed Faruqi wear Muslim garb in the Senate, adding, "I've never seen her wear a burqa or a hijab." Senator Hanson also submitted the defence of implied freedom of political communications, that her comments were made in good faith and fell within the realm of public interest, being in relation to the Queen's death. But in the end, it was up to the judge, who found this.
Her tweet was an angry personal attack on Senator Faruqi, with no discernible content or comment about the issues raised by Senator Faruqi's tweet.
Today is a win of every single person who has been told to go back to where they came from.
The expert evidence establishes that that is a racist trope with a long history.
The federal court found that Hanson had a tendency to make racist, discriminatory, hateful, derogatory and Islamophobic statements, particularly in relation to a person's colour, migrants to Australia and Muslims, and that the remarks amounted to a racist attack, unprotected by free speech claims. And Hanson was found to be an argumentative witness who would say anything which came to mind if she she felt it would suit her at the time. The judge also rejected Senator Hanson's claims that she did not know Senator Faruqi was Muslim, stating that he found it overwhelmingly probable that Senator Hanson did know. The judge held that Section 18C of the RDA was satisfied, as "Piss off back to Pakistan" was accepted by Senator Hanson to be a variant of the slogan, "Go back to where you came from." And he also highlighted that due to Hanson's political position and large following on X or Twitter, her offensive messaging was amplified to a greater audience, with the likely effect of condoning or promoting messages of the same nature or even worse. And as part of the decision, Hanson was ordered to pay Faruqi's costs of the proceedings and take down the tweet. And this is how Faruqi responded.
Today's ruling tells us that telling someone to go back to where they came from is a strong form of racism. And it sends a strong message to racists that they will be held accountable. And it is also an affirmation for migrants that people of color do not have to be grateful or to keep quiet. And I will be speaking out more loudly and more strongly than ever before.
And as for Hanson, well, she jumped back on X or Twitter with her team, posting that she was deeply disappointed by the court's decision and that the outcome demonstrates the inappropriately broad application of Section 18, particularly insofar as it impinges upon freedom of political expression. And it also said that given the importance of this matter, that Senator has instructed her lawyers to prepare and lodge appeal documents. And in November 2024, she did just that, announcing an appeal of the primary judgment and thanking her supporters for their generosity and ongoing support. Saying in a statement, "I've been warning for years the extreme far left will use 18C to attack and silence those whom they disagree. After my case, who's next in their sights?" Opposition leader Peter Dutton is now being referred to the Human Rights Commission over the same thing. And that appeal is still ongoing, so this beef is far from over just yet. But that's it for today's beefing on Pauline Hanson versus Mehreen Faruqi. If you liked this episode, let us know, and while you're there, if you could subscribe or follow wherever you're listening from, it's a really easy way you can support everything we do here at The Briefing. And you can check us out on Instagram and YouTube at The Briefing Podcast. Until then, I'm Helen Smith. Catch you next time.
A listener production.